If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies but not the madness of people. Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who sets the planets in motion. Truth is ever to be found in the simplicity, and not in the multiplicity and confusion of things. This most beautiful system of the sun, planets and comets, could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but as Lord over all, and on account of his dominion he is wont to be called Lord God Pi Alpha Nu Tau Omicron Kappa Rho Alpha Tau Omega Rho, or universal ruler. This most beautiful system of the sun, planets and comets, could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. If I have ever made any valuable discoveries, it has been due more to patient attention than to any other talent. He who thinks half-heartedly will not believe in God, but he who really thinks has to believe in God. Sir Isaac Newton was asked how he discovered the law of gravity. He replied, by thinking about it all the time. Trials are medicines which our gracious and wise physician prescribes because we need them, and he proportions the frequency and weight of them to what the case requires. Let us trust his skill and thank him for his prescription. To explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man or even for any one age. 'Tis much better to do a little with certainty and leave the rest for others that come after than to explain all things by conjecture without making sure of anything. Sir Isaac Newton, 1642–1747. About the times of the end, a body of men will be raised up who will turn their attention to the prophecies, and insist upon their literal interpretation, in the midst of much clamor and opposition. If I have been able to see further, it was only because I stood on the shoulders of giants. Yet one thing secures us whatever betide, the Scriptures assures us that the Lord will provide. Amicus Plato, amicus Aristoteles, magis amica veritas. Plato is my friend, Aristotle is my friend, but my greatest friend is truth. What Descartes did was a good step. You have added much several ways, and especially in taking the colors of thin plates into philosophical consideration. If I have seen a little further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Truth is the offspring of silence and meditation. I keep the subject constantly before me and wait till the first dawnings open slowly, by little and little, into a full and clear light. God, who gave animals self-motion beyond our understanding, is without doubt able to implant other principles of motion in bodies, which, we may understand as little. Some would readily grant this may be a spiritual one, yet a mechanical one might be shown, did not I think it better to pass it by. This principle of nature being very remote from the conceptions of philosophers, I forbore to describe it in that book, lest I should be accounted an extravagant freak and so prejudice my readers against all those things which were the main design of the book. There are more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than in any profane history. If others would think as hard as I did, then they would get similar results. Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who set the planets in motion. As a blind man has no idea of colors, so have we no idea of the manner by which the all-wise God perceives and understands all things. If I have done great things, it's because I was standing in the closet of smart men taking notes and then publishing their ideas as my own. A man may imagine things that are false, but he can only understand things that are true, for if the things be false, the apprehension of them is not understanding. 'Tis much better to do a little with certainty and leave the rest for others that come after than to explain all things by conjecture without making sure of anything. For I see not what there is desirable in public esteem, were I able to acquire and maintain it. It would perhaps increase my acquaintance, the thing which I chiefly study to decline. Resistance is usually ascribed to bodies at rest, and impulse to those in motion, but motion and rest, as commonly conceived, are only relatively distinguished, nor are those bodies always truly at rest, which commonly are taken to be so. That one body should act upon another through a vacuum without the mediation of anything else is so great an absurdity that no man suited to do science can ever fall into it. Gravity must be caused by an agent, but whether that agent be material or immaterial I leave to my readers. For it became him, God, who created them, the atoms, to set them in order. And if he did so, it's unphilosophical to seek for any other origin of the world, or to pretend that it might arise out of a chaos by the mere laws of nature. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, and diverting myself and now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. This most elegant system of the sun, planets, and comets could not have arisen without the design and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. We account the scriptures of God to be the most sublime philosophy. I find more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than in any profane history whatever. Atheism is so senseless. When I look at the solar system, I see the Earth at the right distance from the Sun to receive the proper amounts of heat and light. This did not happen by chance. To explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man or even for any one age. 'Tis much better to do a little with certainty, and leave the rest for others that come after you, than to explain all things by conjecture without making sure of anything.